President Trump is preparing to deliver his first State of the Union address Tuesday night. The president is expected to tout tax reform and a booming economy, as well as discuss the future of immigration reform. Joining me now is Doug Wead, presidential historian and former senior White House staffer for President George H.W. Bush. He's also author of the book Game of Thorns, the inside story of Hillary Clinton's failed campaign and Donald Trump's winning strategy. Doug, good to see you as always. It's been a while.
Kelly.
But let's talk about this. What do you expect from President Trump's first State of the Union address?
Jobs, jobs, jobs.
It's the economy, right?
Yeah, I compare it to 2014 when President Obama laid out his vision of jobs, shovel-ready jobs, and a year later the New York Times said those shovel-ready jobs weren't very shovel-ready, were they? Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy wuzzy wuzzy. But this time the president goes in. He goes into a speech and he's got those jobs already in the pocket.
Yeah, he has to feel very good about that. And what specifically should he say when he not only discusses jobs, but what it will mean for America's future?
I'd like to see him, and I've seen him pivoting towards caring for minorities. There's been these accusations of racism against him, and lately he's been talking about the fact that unemployment is now the lowest it's ever been for African Americans, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pivots that way. This will be a speech, Kelly, that's very different. Most of these speeches come in times of crises.
Right.
I think of 1975, when Gerald Ford's State of the Union speech, he said, "The State of the Union is not good." And then he talked about unemployment and how dependent we were on others for energy. And this time a president can say the State of the Union is good, and then here's where we're going to go next.
You know, we're looking at some factors as it relates to the economy, the fact that we're doing so well with unemployment. You were mentioning African Americans. There's also the women factor, how well they've been doing in terms of employment. But there are some people who will not attend the State of the Union address because they're upset with the president and some of his rhetoric and his tweets, which have not only been tough, but also disparaging to various groups of people in the eyes of those who are choosing not to attend.
Yeah, that's right. And we also didn't mention senior citizens. As a senior citizen, I got to say my 401ks have performed better in the last year than they have the previous 16 years under two presidents, a Republican and a Democrat. But you're right. We live in a different time, Kelly. Negative campaigning. People no longer elect a president because they like him or her. They vote against the other guy. And Lee Atwater, I once worked for him, and he could show you the metrics, how negative campaigning works. So you have two things going on. One, negative campaigning. Here's a president who got elected because people didn't like the other person. And two, you've got tremendous bias in the media, unlike anything we've had before. Measured, numbers measured, 90%, 91%, 96% in terms of money donated. So those two factors make this an interesting year. He's got all these positive things, but he's got all this negative against him.
And some of it he's brought on himself by just the sheer nature of Donald Trump's personality, where he'll go after people who go after him. But I want to ask you this. What will he have to say to the country about DACA and moving it forward? Will he address that in this State of the Union address?
You know, Lao Tzu, the philosopher, said that people who have knowledge don't predict, and people who predict have no knowledge. And that goes double for Donald Trump. I know what he should do. He should appeal to DACA and say, here's a chance to strengthen our borders and help all these people's dreams come true. But it is a power play, because Democrats have opposed Asians and white immigrants for years. The Asians coming out of Vietnam were opposed openly by Democrat leadership, and Republicans have tended to oppose Latino and African American immigrants, precisely because the one will vote for Republican and the other tend to vote for Democrat.
Yeah, you said a lot right there. That's for sure. Doug, always good to talk to you. And
thank you.
Come back soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Doug Wead.